There are moments in life when the world seems to turn away from you, when doors close, faces disappear, and paths you once walked with ease vanish into silence. You may feel abandoned, forgotten, or even punished. But I am here to tell you, this is not the end of your story. This is God's quiet hand, gently separating you, not to hurt you, but to prepare your heart, your mind, your spirit for a destiny too grand to be rushed. For sometimes, in the stillness, away from the noise and the crowd, we find the truths we were too busy to see. And in that sacred solitude, we are molded, strengthened, and ready to rise higher than ever before. There are seasons in life when it feels as if the world has turned its back, when familiar faces drift away, and the spaces we once occupied are suddenly empty. It is in these moments, when solitude wraps around us like a quiet, gentle cloak, that we are being prepared. God does not separate us to punish us. He separates us to elevate us. He positions us carefully, intentionally, beyond what our eyes can yet see, beyond what our hearts can yet imagine. There is a sacred wisdom in these pauses, a divine patience that asks us to trust the unseen, to believe in a future that is still forming in the hands of the Almighty. In the stillness, we discover our own strength. When we are removed from the familiar, when the voices that once guided or distracted us are silenced, we begin to hear the deeper rhythms of our own soul. Our spirit learns to stretch, to rise, and to meet challenges without leaning on what is familiar or comfortable. Separation is not emptiness. It is an opportunity, a garden where we can cultivate patience, courage, and resilience. Every step we take alone, every quiet night spent in reflection becomes a thread in the tapestry of the life we are meant to live. Sometimes the separation comes in the form of broken relationships, lost opportunities, or unfulfilled expectations. It is easy to see these moments as losses, as failures, as signs that we are forgotten. But they are not. They are the very tools God uses to shape us. He removes what is small, what is limiting, what dims our light. He removes the voices that tell us we are not enough, so that we may finally hear the one voice that matters, the one that whispers our worth, our purpose, our calling. In these moments, we learn that our value is not measured by others' presence or approval, but by the depth of our own spirit. Separation is also an invitation to clarity. When the noise of the world is quieted, our path becomes clearer. We see the directions we were meant to take, the people we are meant to walk with, and the dreams that are truly ours. God's hand, unseen but certain, moves us away from what would hinder us and toward what will empower us. The solitude teaches us patience, the patience cultivates faith, and the faith shapes us into vessels ready for the blessings ahead. So, if you find yourself alone today, do not despair. Do not question why the doors have closed or why familiar faces have faded. Stand tall in the quiet and know that this is your preparation. This is God positioning you for a life that exceeds your vision, a life that will demand all of your courage, your love, and your strength. And when the time comes to step forward, you will do so not as someone diminished by absence, but as someone refined, radiant, and ready to embrace the greatness that has always been yours. There are moments in life when the world seems too loud, too busy, too filled with expectations that weigh upon your spirit. It is in these moments that God calls you to step away, not out of punishment, but out of love. Growth requires solitude. It asks you to leave the comfort of familiar faces, the ease of routine, and the reassurance of others' presence. It is in that quiet space, away from the voices that pull you in every direction, that your soul can stretch and breathe, that your spirit can truly learn who it is meant to be. In solitude, we encounter ourselves in ways we never could in the crowd. We see the thoughts that shape us, the fears that limit us, and the strengths that have lain dormant, waiting for this very moment to be awakened. Growth does not happen in noise or distraction. It does not flourish where comfort softens the edges of our ambition. It demands that we face ourselves honestly, that we confront the parts of us we have long ignored, and that we choose to rise even when no one is watching. The quiet moments, the times when you are alone with your thoughts, are not empty. They are full of possibility, of preparation, of power. Solitude also teaches patience. When we are removed from the rush of others' timelines, when we are not measuring ourselves against someone else's achievements, we begin to understand the rhythm of our own lives. Growth cannot be hurried, and true transformation does not arrive on a schedule. It comes gently, steadily, often in ways that are invisible at first. But those who endure the quiet, who honor the space between who they were and who they are becoming, find themselves strengthened in ways that applause and attention could never provide. The beauty of stepping away lies in clarity. When you are alone, the distractions fall away, and you begin to see the path that is uniquely yours. You recognize the dreams that are authentic, the goals that align with your heart, and the relationships that will uplift rather than diminish you. Growth requires solitude because it forces you to separate what is essential from what is merely habitual. It asks you to discern, to choose, and to act from a place of inner wisdom rather than external pressure. And though solitude can feel lonely at first, it is also sacred. It is a space where your spirit is nurtured, where resilience is built, and where courage is born. Every step you take in quiet reflection is a step toward the person you were created to become. When you emerge from this solitude, you will not only have grown, you will have transformed. You will carry a strength that is rooted in knowing yourself fully, a confidence that no external validation can shake, and a wisdom that can guide others even as it guides you. Growth requires solitude, yes, but it also grants a freedom, a vision, and a power that only the quiet can teach. There is a quiet magic in reflection, a stillness that asks you to pause and truly look at yourself without disguise or distraction. When life pulls you away from the noise, when the chatter of others fades and the hurried pace slows, you are given the gift of seeing yourself clearly, not the self you present to the world, not the self shaped by others' expectations, but the self that is raw, honest, and whole. Reflection allows you to meet your own heart eye to eye, to witness your fears and your triumphs, your doubts and your courage, all in the same gentle moment. It is here, in this unhurried space, that transformation begins. To reflect is to journey inward, to ask questions that have no easy answers, and to listen for whispers that have been drowned out by the clamor of daily life. Who am I when no one is watching? What do I desire, not from others, but from my own soul? What truths have I avoided? What gifts have I ignored? These questions, though sometimes uncomfortable, are the keys to awakening. They peel away the layers of pretense, the masks that have been shaped by fear or approval, and reveal the luminous self that has been waiting all along for recognition and embrace. Reflection also teaches patience with oneself. In the stillness, you realize that growth is not a race, that healing is not instantaneous, and that clarity is often a gradual unfolding. The moments spent in honest contemplation are not wasted. They are the soil in which self-understanding grows. Every thought examined, every feeling acknowledged, and every lesson remembered becomes a brick in the foundation of the life you are building. When you reflect deeply, you stop reacting automatically to circumstances or to others' judgments. You respond from a place of understanding, wisdom, and calm authority, rooted in the knowledge of who you truly are. There is a sacred courage in reflection as well. To look inward is to face both light and shadow, to embrace what is beautiful and confront what is broken. It is to forgive oneself for past mistakes, to release the burdens that have been carried silently, and to honor the journey that has brought you to this very moment. Reflection is not just about seeing, it is about understanding, accepting, and finally claiming the fullness of your own life. It reminds you that your experiences, Even the painful ones are not punishments. They are lessons shaping you, guiding you, preparing you for what is to come. And perhaps most profoundly, reflection connects you to the divine within you. When you sit in silence and truly observe your own spirit, you recognize the presence of God's hand, guiding, molding, and holding you with unwavering love. You understand that solitude is not absence, but intimacy with yourself, with your purpose, and with the higher power that orchestrates the rhythm of your life. In reflection, you are reminded that you are never truly alone, that every pause, every quiet moment is an opportunity to realign, to renew, and to rise. Sometimes God separates us not just to teach patience or reflection, but to break the chains that have bound our spirit without our notice. There are people in our lives, some we love deeply, whose presence, though not malicious, keeps us smaller than we are meant to be. They may doubt us, unconsciously limit our dreams, or cling to the familiar in ways that prevent growth. God, in His infinite wisdom, knows that to reach the fullness of your destiny, these bonds must loosen. These ties must fall away. Separation is His way of freeing you, of granting you the space to stretch into the life that has always belonged to you. It is often painful to watch someone drift from your life, especially when your love for them is real and profound. But love, true love, sometimes demands courage. The courage to let go, to honor the divine timing that is greater than your own understanding. When you are removed from what is familiar, you are given the chance to see who you are outside of the limitations imposed by others. You are invited to rise above patterns that have kept you small, to shed expectations that were never truly yours, and to embrace a vision of life unconfined and unhindered. Breaking these bonds also allows your spirit to flourish in ways that are invisible at first. You may feel the emptiness, the quiet absence, and question whether you are alone or abandoned. But in that silence, there is liberation. You are no longer shaped by someone else's fears or insecurities. You are free to dream larger, to speak more boldly, and to walk paths that honor the callings of your heart. God removes not to punish, but to prepare you, to lift you above limitations that have clung to you like shadows, whispering that you are not enough. In truth, you have always been more than enough. The separation simply allows you to finally see it. There is also a profound clarity that comes with breaking limiting bonds. When those who once held you back are no longer your anchors, your path becomes brighter, your steps surer, and your vision clearer. You begin to recognize the relationships, opportunities, and spaces that truly nurture your spirit. You find companions who inspire, challenge, and uplift you. You are drawn to experiences that align with your purpose, and you start to live from a place of intention rather than obligation. The separation, though initially uncomfortable, becomes a mirror reflecting the potential you always carried within. And ultimately, this breaking of bonds teaches a form of sacred trust. It teaches that God's hand is always guiding, even when it seems to remove rather than provide. It reminds you that not every presence is meant to stay, not every voice is meant to echo in your life forever, and that your destiny cannot be held back by fear, familiarity, or the unconscious limits of others. The bonds that fall away are replaced in time with freedom, strength, and alignment, and you emerge not diminished but liberated, ready to step fully into the greatness for which you were created, carrying a heart that knows the value of both love and release. Life often places us in storms we never asked for, in challenges that seem too heavy for our shoulders to bear. In these moments, when separation feels most like abandonment, it is not punishment, it is preparation. God does not send trials to break us, but to build us. Every struggle, every hardship, every quiet moment of loneliness is a gentle hammer shaping the contours of our spirit, forging resilience and awakening strength we never knew we possessed. It is through trials that we discover the depth of our courage, the power of our endurance, and the unshakable truth that we are capable of more than we can imagine. When we face difficulties alone, without the comfort of constant support, we learn to trust ourselves in a way we never could when the path was easy. Strength is not born from comfort or convenience. It grows quietly in the spaces where fear and doubt once held sway. The nights spent wrestling with uncertainty, the days spent pushing against obstacles, and the moments when the world seems indifferent. All of these are laboratories of the soul, where courage is tested, refined, and strengthened. God's separation, then, is never cruel. It is a sacred training ground for the greatness that lies ahead. Trials also teach patience and humility. In the midst of struggle, we learn to move with intention rather than haste, to listen rather than react, and to surrender rather than fight against the natural order of life. Strength is not only the power to endure, it is the wisdom to navigate hardship with grace, the ability to remain steadfast when everything around us seems to shift. Every challenge, no matter how painful, carries a lesson, and in the quiet reflection after difficulty, we find that our spirit has expanded, our resolve has deepened, and our hearts have grown more compassionate. There is also a profound beauty in recognizing that our trials connect us to something greater than ourselves. In moments of separation and struggle, we learn to reach upward, to seek guidance, and to embrace the faith that sustains us. God allows trials not to punish, but to teach us that our strength is not merely our own. It is drawn from the divine, from the invisible hand that walks beside us even in the darkest moments. Each obstacle becomes a reminder that we are never truly alone, that endurance is a sacred gift, and that perseverance can transform pain into purpose. And when the trials finally pass, we emerge changed, wiser, stronger, and more resilient. We carry within us the proof that we can withstand adversity, the knowledge that we can rise from any setback, and the courage to step boldly into the future with confidence. Strength emerges in trials, yes, but it also illuminates our path, teaches our spirit patience and faith, and prepares us for the life we were always meant to live. We are tempered by the fire of challenge, shaped by the quiet hands of divine preparation, and reminded that our trials are not obstacles, they are stepping stones to the fullness of our destiny. There comes a time in life when the voices of the world grow distant, when the expectations and pressures of others fade into silence, and suddenly you are left alone with yourself. It is in these sacred moments of solitude that purpose reveals itself, not the purpose that has been dictated by others, not the life you were told to live, but the one that resonates deeply with your soul. God separates us to help us hear this calling, to help us feel it, to help us understand that our destiny has always existed, patiently waiting for us to recognize it. In the quiet, away from the noise, the truest version of our purpose begins to whisper, and if we listen carefully, we cannot help but follow. To redefine purpose is to honor the unique gifts you carry, the talents that have been nurtured quietly, often unnoticed, and to set aside what no longer serves you. Many of us live our lives in the shadows of others' dreams, carrying burdens of expectation that are not our own. Separation strips those away. It strips away the need for approval, the weight of judgment, and the fear of stepping beyond what is comfortable. And in that stripping, we find freedom. We find the clarity to see that our life's work is not something borrowed or inherited. It is something entirely ours, something that only we can bring into the world in the way that only we can. Redefining purpose also requires courage, the courage to turn inward, to confront the parts of ourselves that have been silent, overlooked, or underestimated. It is not an easy path. It demands honesty, reflection, and a willingness to walk alone for a time. Yet, within that courage lies transformation. We begin to act from conviction rather than obligation, to speak from authenticity rather than expectation, and to live with intention rather than habit. The solitude that once felt like isolation becomes a sanctuary, a place where our inner voice grows stronger, clearer, and undeniable. It teaches us that true fulfillment cannot be found in pleasing others, but in answering the call that God has placed in our hearts. And when purpose is truly recognized, life changes. Decisions become simpler, priorities align, and even challenges feel directed rather than random. We start to attract the people, the opportunities, and the experiences that resonate with our authentic path. We stop chasing what does not serve us, and we begin to cultivate what elevates us. Our work, our relationships, and our very existence take on new meaning, not because the world has changed, but because we have finally tuned into the life we were always meant to lead. So if you find yourself in a season of separation, listen closely. This is God's way of guiding you to your truest purpose. In the silence, the clarity will come. In the solitude, the courage will grow. And in the discovery of who you are meant to be, you will find a joy and a fulfillment that cannot be borrowed, bought, or borrowed from anyone else. This is the gift of redefining purpose, the gift of becoming fully, authentically, and unapologetically yourself. There are times in life when our hearts feel heavy, cluttered with the weight of past hurts, old grievances, and the unspoken burdens of relationships that no longer serve us. God's separation comes not as punishment, but as a sacred cleansing, a gentle pruning of the soul. He allows us to step away from what clouds our vision, what dims our light, and what distracts us from the path we are meant to walk. In this divine solitude, the heart begins to shed the unnecessary, releasing the toxic energies, the resentment, and the habits that have kept us tethered to pain rather than lifted toward purpose. Cleansing the heart requires honesty with oneself. It asks that we confront the emotions we have hidden, the fears we have ignored, and the patterns that have quietly dictated our choices. In this process, separation becomes a mirror, reflecting the parts of ourselves that need love, attention, and understanding. We see where we have been too giving, too accepting, too willing to bend for others while forgetting our own worth. And in seeing, we begin to heal. We learn that the heart is not strengthened by clinging to what harms us, but by letting go, by releasing the weight that is not ours to carry. The process of cleansing also opens space for grace. When distractions fall away and toxic energies leave, our hearts can breathe and our minds can see clearly. We begin to recognize what truly nourishes our spirit, the people who uplift, the work that inspires, the moments that fill us with joy and peace. God's separation in this way is an act of love, preparing our hearts to receive blessings that could not enter when the soul was crowded with the unneeded. It teaches us that not all relationships, not all attachments are meant to stay forever, and that the absence of what does not serve us is a space for growth, for clarity, and for abundance. Cleansing the heart also requires patience. It does not happen instantly or easily. Old wounds take time to heal, and patterns that have been ingrained for years may resurface. But each moment of reflection, each act of release, and each quiet pause is a step toward renewal. With patience, the heart becomes lighter, the spirit more resilient, and the soul more attuned to what truly matters. We learn that strength is not only the ability to endure, but the courage to let go, to forgive, and to move forward unburdened. Ultimately, the cleansing of the heart leads to freedom. It allows us to enter the world fully present, fully open, and fully alive. We no longer carry the chains of past pain or the weight of what others could not give us. Instead, we carry a heart that is radiant, receptive, and aligned with the life God intended for us. Separation, though often painful, is the sacred tool that frees us, reminding us that our hearts are meant to beat freely, to love without fear, and to embrace the blessings that await us with open arms. In letting go, we are not losing, we are being purified, prepared, and made ready for the fullness of our destiny. There are times when life feels scattered, when the pieces of our journey seem disconnected, and we wonder if we will ever find our place, our people, our purpose. God's separation is not random, it is a divine preparation for alignment. In the quiet, away from the noise of distraction and the pull of obligations that do not serve us, He begins to guide us toward what is meant for us. It is a careful, intentional orchestration, a gentle nudging toward the relationships, opportunities, and circumstances that resonate with the deepest truth of who we are. When we are separated from what is not aligned with our highest good, we are not being abandoned, we are being positioned. Alignment requires patience. It is not immediate, and it is rarely obvious in the moment. The hand of God moves quietly, unseen, arranging circumstances, nudging hearts, and opening doors in ways that our limited vision may not yet comprehend. In this season, the people who once distracted, discouraged, or diminished us are gently removed. In their absence, space is created for those who will uplift, inspire, and walk beside us with purpose. Alignment is not about filling our lives with everyone who wants to be there. It is about drawing near the few whose presence echoes our soul's calling, whose vision harmonizes with our own, and whose journey complements ours without compromise. In preparing for alignment, we are invited to examine ourselves closely. Are we ready to receive the people and opportunities that will move us closer to our purpose? Have we shed the old habits, fears, and doubts that might misalign us with what is meant for our growth? The separation serves as a mirror, reflecting the ways we must rise, the ways we must refine, and the ways we must prepare. It is in this introspection that our spirit becomes attuned, that our intentions clarify, and that we cultivate the discernment to recognize alignment when it arrives. God's preparation is as much about readying our hearts as it is about arranging the world around us. There is a sacred beauty in the unfolding of alignment. When the right people, circumstances, and opportunities enter our lives, it is rarely sudden. It is a natural resonance. Everything clicks into place as though it had been quietly waiting for this precise moment. The friendships that were meant to sustain us, the mentors who were meant to guide us, the challenges that were meant to teach us, all converge to create a path that feels undeniable. Separation has prepared us for this convergence, making us receptive to the divine rhythm that moves life forward with purpose and grace. And so, when you find yourself alone, when you feel distant from those you once relied upon, remember that this is preparation. God is aligning your life with what is authentic, elevating, and true. He is orchestrating the connections that will support your calling, the doors that will open at precisely the right time, and the moments that will feel effortless because your spirit is ready. Trust the process, honor the solitude, and prepare your heart. Alignment is coming, and when it does, it will feel like home, not just a place, but a state of being where your life resonates fully with your highest purpose. There is a profound gift in solitude, a treasure that is often overlooked when the world urges us to stay busy, to follow the crowd, and to measure our worth by the voices around us. Alone, we discover the quiet, unwavering wisdom that resides within our own hearts. God's separation is not meant to punish us. It is meant to sharpen our intuition, to awaken the voice within that knows the path even when the eyes cannot see. In these moments, when the clamor of others fades and the demands of the world are held at bay, we can finally hear the gentle guidance that has always been present, whispering truths that we were too distracted to notice. Inner wisdom is born of reflection, patience, and courage. It is cultivated in the quiet moments when we sit with ourselves and confront both our light and our shadow. We begin to understand that the answers we have been seeking outside ourselves have been within all along. In solitude, we learn to trust that small, persistent voice that nudges us toward integrity, compassion, and purpose. God's separation allows this wisdom to emerge, giving us the clarity to make choices that align with our deepest calling rather than the fleeting approval of the world. When we embrace our inner guidance, we find that decisions become lighter and the path forward more apparent. Life no longer feels like a series of random events or confusing detours. Instead, it becomes a journey guided by a steady, reliable compass that points toward growth, purpose, and fulfillment. The experiences we once feared, moments of silence, reflection, and even loneliness, become teachers, showing us how to listen deeply, respond wisely, and act with intention. Our inner wisdom does not rush, and it does not demand. It waits patiently, revealing its clarity when we are ready to receive it. Discovering this inner guidance also strengthens our trust in the divine. We begin to see the hand of God in every quiet season, every trial, and every moment of separation. The lessons that once felt harsh or confusing take on meaning, and we realize that our life is not a series of accidents, but a carefully orchestrated path toward growth and alignment. The wisdom we cultivate alone equips us not only to navigate our own lives, but to offer insight, compassion, and guidance to others who are still seeking their way. Solitude, in this way, is both preparation and empowerment. And so, when you feel the world has stepped away and you are left with yourself, do not despair. Lean into the quiet. Listen to the voice that is always present, the guidance that requires no outside validation, and the wisdom that grows in the fertile ground of reflection and solitude. Here, in these sacred moments, you become attuned not only to your own soul, but to the divine rhythms that shape your life. Your inner wisdom, once discovered, will illuminate your path, deepen your understanding, and lead you with certainty toward the life you were always meant to live.